Several people have asked me what it takes to be an athletic historian, and there's three main things that you got to be able to do. One is you've got to absolutely love athletics, and that's not just football, that's basketball, baseball, track, whatever the sport is. The second thing is you got to love a certain part of that athletics. For me, it's Colorado State University. That's where I went to school, graduated in 1993, so I absolutely love CSU, and I've dialed in on it. But the third and most important thing you need to know about being an athletic historian is you can have absolutely no athletic talent whatsoever. That's how we live vicariously through other athletes. It is truly an honor for the memory of Harry Hughes and what he did so long ago in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference that he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame 61 years after his death and 77 years after CSU split from the conference. I do want to recognize some members of Coach Hughes' family who are here in attendance tonight. His nephew Jack Hughes, Jack's daughter Karen, Karen's husband Kelly, and their daughter Keely. They're over at table 9. I also want to thank Doug Max, Senior Associate Athletic Director at Colorado State University. He's also here tonight, and he held Coach Hughes' position as the track coach at CSU for 19 years. And as a student, coach, and administrator, he's been there almost as many years as Harry Hughes was. So he's definitely a treasured person for us to have here. Most people do not realize that this treasured and historic athletic conference was established for a purpose. Prior to 1909, there was rampant corruption and disregard for rules in the old Intercollegiate Athletic Association of Colorado. Players fought, some were paid, and schools did not get along regarding rules or schedules. The RMAC was founded to fix those problems, and it was men like Harry Hughes, Fred Folsom, Dick Romney, Myron Witham, Ike Armstrong, among others, who helped shape the RMAC and bring respect to this region. Harry Hughes established the first viable relationships with his peer coaches to bring athletics in Colorado to their attention. It is always difficult for the boring historian to convince modern sports enthusiasts and athletes how important their forefathers were. After all, Harry Hughes began coaching at Colorado State in 1911. He continued in this conference until 1937 when CSU split. To many people, this era of coaching is ancient history. Just take a look at that 1919 game film and tell me that you have a tough time relating that to modern football. None of us in this room today have ever regretted not knowing more about the people that brought them where they are today. We all have the need to look back at what made us stronger. Harry Hughes mentored athletes in the RMAC for 27 years and at CSU for 42. He won the championships. We see that in his record. But it is what he did for the young men that he trained and what he did for the RMAC to make it legitimate to a biased Eastern athletic regime that cannot be forgotten. Harry Hughes inserted himself in the fraternity of coaching through the American Football Coaches Association in 1920. That allowed him the ability to know men like Dana Bible, Amos Alonzo Stagg, Newt Rockney, Pop Warner, T.A.D. Jones, Walter Camp, and many other legends from coaching in that era. By doing so, Hughes was able to share his knowledge of football and other athletics with coaches from the East and make them realize that we are not a bunch of country bumpkins like they thought we were at that time. As I look back at his coaching career and the many things that Harry Hughes did, his being named the NCAA District 7 representative to the Football Rules Committee in 1926 stands out as one of his finest achievements. He not only helped write the rules of college football, but he became an elite member of a committee that only numbered 10 coaches from around the country at the time. In 1926, CSU was a very small agricultural college. Hughes' appointment to the committee is amazing. He made these decisions with coaches from large historic schools like Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth, Chicago, Texas A&M, and even Notre Dame. But Harry Hughes was more than just a championship coach who brought football and other athletics more respect to this region. He was a man who lived to teach and help the youth of Colorado become men. Most of his former athletes have passed away, but thankfully over the last 22 years I've been able to speak with some of them and learn more about who Harry Hughes was. As a history student at CSU in 1992, I was able to learn more about CSU athletic history, and I talked to Charles Bresnahan, who played for Hughes from 1918 to 1921. I asked him, what was Harry Hughes like? His answer was the same as the answer of many men that I've talked to over the years. He said he was a great man. He made me and the boys I played with into men and taught me things that had nothing to do with and everything to do with athletics. I found that to be an interesting answer and dug deeper into who this man was. He was not just a coach, but somebody who took each and every one of his players under his wing and taught them the basics of life, such as how to balance a bank account, how to shave, and even the all-important facts of life. This was a time in our history when few men had ventured off the farm and their fathers had not nurtured them in ways of the world. Hughes would recognize that. He, as their coach, would be able to be their parent away from home, a concept that had not fully been embraced by coaches of the time, but a concept that in many ways we expect from a coach today. Hughes believed in clean living, discipline, and that always meant no smoking, no drinking, and playing by the rules. Norm Cable played at CSU in the mid-1930s. He told me how Harry Hughes and kept his players in line and while being a tough but fair coach who believed in discipline. Norm said that one day at practice, Hughes put his arm around him like many coaches do, and they got in real tight. He spoke into his ear and he said, "Norm, you see those hurdles? I want you to jump those hurdles as fast as you can because I know you have it in you and I know you can do this. Do you understand, Norm?" He says, "Yeah, coach, I got it." He says, "Great," slaps him on the back. He says, "After you do that, run 10 more laps because I can still smell the alcohol in your breath from last night." I could go on all night about Harry Hughes, but nobody likes a long-winded history nerd who never played football. But I do want to wrap up my summation of this great man who was known as the Dean of American football coaches in his time. Harry Hughes believed in playing by the rules and the sanctity of amateur athletics until his dying day. He was a man who shaped athletics in the Rocky Mountain region and who was respected by every man who knew him. He trained men who became four-star generals, successful businessmen, Olympic champions, and ordinary men who still made a difference in the world. Coaches are special people who, if they have done their job right, are not known by their championships, but by the people they influence. 103 years after he first arrived in Colorado, we can still be influenced by the kind of man Harry Hughes was in his time. Thank you.